Good morning, everyone. Let us continue with the balance of the chapter Dual Nature of Radiation and Matter. And today our topic is matter wave. So, we have studied the particle nature of light, which we explained with the help of photons, and characteristics of photons also we discussed. Now, and we understood that radiation behaves, sometimes it behaves as a wave and sometimes it behaves as a particle. Okay, so a scientist de Broglie suggested that the particles like electrons, protons, neutrons, etc. have dual nature. That is, they can have particle as well as wave nature. So wave nature of particles was actually explained by de Broglie. So we'll start with de Broglie hypothesis. Okay, so wave nature of particles or matter. This can be clearly explained with de Broglie hypothesis. So according to de Broglie, a wave is associated with moving material particle which controls the particle in every aspect. The wave associated with moving material particle is called matter wave. Okay, matter wave, or it can be called as de Broglie wave. Okay, so what is a matter wave? The wave associated with a moving material particle. The wave associated with a moving material particle is known as matter wave or de Broglie wave. And it has a wavelength, isn't it? Since it behaves like a wave, it should have a wavelength which we call as de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength. And the de Broglie wavelength is given by the expression lambda is equal to h by mv. Lambda is equal to h by mv, where m and v are the mass and velocity of the particle and h is the Planck's constant. So according to Planck's quantum theory, we have studied the energy of photon. What is the expression for energy of photon? As it is given by E is equal to h nu or hc by lambda. Right? And according to Einstein's theory, you have studied E is equal to mc square, mass energy equivalence. Now, if you are equating these two equations, since it is both are the expressions for E, if you are equating this one, you will get mc square is equal to hc by lambda. Okay, or mc is equal to h by lambda. Now what is lambda? Lambda is equal to h by mc. H by mc. Okay. Here you know mc. What is mc? Mass into velocity. It is the momentum. Momentum of a photon. Now if a material particle of mass m is moving with a velocity v, this momentum will be like this. P is equal to m into v. Right. So according to de Broglie hypothesis, the wavelength of wave associated with moving material particle becomes lambda is equal to h by p, or you can write h by mv. Understand? So this is the expression for de Broglie wavelength. Clear? So de Broglie, according to this de Broglie hypothesis, a wave is associated with moving material particle which controls the particle in every aspect. And such a wave associated with moving material particle is known as matter wave or de Broglie wave. Now the expression for de Broglie wavelength is lambda equal to h by p, h or h by mv. It is the mass and velocity of the particle and h is the Planck's constant. Now from the above expressions or expression, some observations were made. So first of all, by looking this equation, it is clear that lambda is inversely proportional to velocity, right? So if the particle moves faster, then the wavelength will be smaller and vice versa. Now in the second case, if velocity is equal to 0, that is if the particle is at rest, if velocity is equal to 0, then what is lambda? As lambda is infinity. That means such a wave cannot be visualized. If the particle is at rest, then the de Broglie wavelength is infinite, which means that such a wave cannot be visualized. Okay. Now the third point. Next, the de Broglie wavelength cannot be, or de Broglie waves cannot be electromagnetic in nature. Why? Because electromagnetic waves, you will study in the next chapter, electromagnetic waves are produced by the motion of charged particles. Electromagnetic waves are produced by the motion of charged particles. So here in the case of de Broglie waves, it cannot behave like an electromagnetic wave. Okay, so de Broglie waves cannot be electromagnetic waves in nature. Understand? Next point is the wavelength of a wave associated with moving particle defines a region of uncertainty within which the whereabouts of the particle are unknown. Okay, this may lead to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle that you have studied in chemistry, which states that it is not possible to measure both the position and momentum of a particle at the same time exactly. Like that, here also the wavelength of a wave associated with a moving particle actually defines a region of uncertainty. Okay, that means the whereabouts of the particle are unknown at a particular point at a particular time. So there is always some uncertainty in the specification of position and also in the specification of momentum. Understand? So these are the observations made with the help of this equation. First of all, lambda is inversely proportional to velocity. Then when the particle is at rest, lambda is de Broglie wavelength is infinite. Then EM waves, it is not, actually EM waves are produced by the motion of charged particles, but de Broglie wavelength cannot be equated to EM waves. That means in nature it will not show the properties of EM waves. And regarding the wavelength of de Broglie waves, there is always certain uncertainty in the position as well as in the momentum. Okay, now what are the common features of matter waves? Matter waves can travel in vacuum and hence they are not mechanical waves. Okay, so matter waves can travel in vacuum. That is one of the feature. Travel in vacuum and hence they cannot be considered as mechanical waves. Then you can call this matter waves as probability waves. Probability. You have studied in maths this term, right? Probability waves. That is the amplitude of which give the probability of the existence of particle at that point. Amplitude of the wave will give you the probability of existence of the particle at the point. If at a point the amplitude of the wave is A, then the probability of the particle being found in a small volume dV around that point is given as A squared dV. A squared dV. Understand? So this is the probability to find a wave in that region. So matter waves are termed as probability waves. Understand? So these are the important features of matter waves. Now after this, there was an experiment, Davison and Germer experiment, which actually proved the wave nature of particle. But in your revised syllabus, that portion is deleted. So no need to study. That is Davison and Germer experiment, and it is used to study the particle in the form of a wave. Actually, we have considered electron there, and electron diffraction was observed. You know, diffraction is a wave property, and electron diffraction, with the help of that, proved the existence of matter in the form of a wave. Okay, but that portion is deleted from your syllabus. So that's all about this lesson, dual nature of matter and radiation. So our theory part is over. Now we'll move to a few numericals. Okay. So our first question is, the work function for a certain metal is 4.2 eV. Will this metal give photoelectric emission for incident radiation of wavelength 330 nanometer? Okay. So you have certain metal with you. Now what about the work function of this metal? It is 4.2 eV. So you know what is work function. It is the minimum amount of energy required to eject an electron from the metal surface. So your work function is with you, but it is in eV, so you have to convert it into joules. Then it is asked, will this metal give photoelectric emission for incident radiation of wavelength 330 nanometer? So a particular wavelength of light, what is the wavelength? 330 nanometer wavelength of light is falling on the surface of the metal. Its work function is given there. So it is asked whether this metal is able to emit the electrons, or will this metal give photoelectric emission. Okay, so first of all, you have to write the given data. It is phi naught is equal to 4.2 eV, or converting it into joules, 4.2 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. Clear? So you will get the value for work function. Now lambda is given there, which is 330 nanometer. Convert it into meters. 330 into 10 power minus 9 meters. Now how can you find whether this metal give photoelectric emission? Yes, you have to find the energy of this incident radiation, isn't it? Energy of the incident radiation is given by the expression h nu, and so E is equal to h nu. Here nu is not directly given, so you can use the expression hc by lambda. Now h value is 6.62 into 10 power minus 34. Then c is 3 into 10 raised to 8, and lambda is given there 330 into 10 raised to minus 9. Okay. Now we will get a value for this energy in joules. Now compare the values, that is energy E as well as work function phi naught. And if this energy E is less than phi naught, no photoelectric emission will take place. Understand? If this energy is greater than phi naught, yes, surely photoelectric emission will take place. That means electrons can be emitted or ejected out from the metal surface only when the energy of the incident radiation is greater than phi naught. Okay, so you have to find the answer. Here you will get in joules, and here also the energy of incident radiation in joules. Now check the two values. Then if E is less than phi naught, no emission takes place. If E is greater than phi naught, emission takes place. Understand? So complete the numerical by doing the calculations. We will move to the second question. Now the second question. The threshold frequency for a certain metal is 3.3 into 10 power 14 Hertz. If light of frequency 8.2 into 10 power 14 Hertz is incident on the metal, predict the cutoff voltage for the photoelectric emission. Okay, so there is a metal with you. It has a threshold frequency, that is nu naught, which is 3.3 into 10 power 14 Hertz. Light falling here with a frequency 8.2 into 10 power 14 Hertz. Okay, you have to predict the cutoff voltage for the photoelectric emission. That is V naught you have to calculate here. You know what is cutoff voltage. Then what is threshold frequency? Everything you have studied in your theory part. So I am not going into the details. Directly we can move to the expression, that is cutoff voltage V naught is given by H into nu minus nu naught divided by E. Okay. So H into nu minus nu naught by E. Now the values are with you. Directly you can find the value for V naught. That is H is 6.63 into 10 power minus 34. Nu is given there. That is 8.2 into 10 power 14 minus 3.3 into 10 power 14. Okay. Divided by what is E? Charge of an electron. 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So you can find the value for stopping potential, or also known as cutoff voltage, or retarding potential. Anything you can call. Okay. So direct substitution only. Now we'll move to the third question. Now before moving to the third question, let me give you some equations that will be useful for doing numericals. So first of all, if you have a particle of mass m, okay, you have a particle of mass m and is moving with a velocity v, then what about the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy, general expression you know, that is half mv squared, right? Now what about momentum of the particle? Momentum is given by, again you have studied in your smaller classes, P is equal to m into v. Okay. Now here you can find one expression, that is from this equation, no? This equation, let it be 1. You can write like this, that is kinetic energy can be written as E or K you can use. So E is equal to half mv squared, or v squared is equal to 2e by m. V squared is equal to 2e by m. So what is V? Yes, V is root 2e by m. Right? Now substituting the value here, how can you find momentum? As it is P is equal to m into root 2e by m. Now this can be written as root m into root m. So one will get cancelled and finally you will get the expression as 2 root of 2me. Right? Root of 2me. So there is an expression between energy and momentum, that is P is equal to root of 2me. This will be useful for you while you are doing the numerical section. Understand? So this is one equation. Now to find the de Broglie wavelength of an electron, you can use some expressions like the kinetic energy, you know the expression is half mv square. This is to find the de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength of an electron. Okay. So kinetic energy is half mv squared. Then work done on the electron. That is, you are accelerating the electron having a charge E. And if m is the mass, you suppose you are accelerating the electron from rest to a potential difference V, through a potential difference V. Okay. So what about the work done on the electron to accelerate it from rest? As it is E into V. You may have studied like this, W is equal to V into Q, right? Here it is electron, so instead of Q you are giving the value E. So the expression is E into V. Now this work done is actually the energy. So you can write half mv squared is equal to E into V. This is potential and this is velocity. Don't get confused. From this, what is V? As V is 2eV by m, root of 2eV by m. Here the momentum is given by P is equal to m into V, or m into root of 2eV. Now look here, one m will get cancelled. So the expression will become root of 2m eV. Root of 2m eV. Understand? So this is the value to find the momentum of the electron. So root of 2m eV, where m is the mass, e is the charge of electron, and v is the potential difference. Now what about the wavelength? Now you can directly find, because lambda equal to h by p. Here you got the value for p, that is root of 2m eV. So lambda equal to h divided by root of 2m eV. Clear? So this is the expression to find the momentum of an electron. Okay. Also the expression to find the de Broglie wavelength of an electron. Next question. An electron and a photon each have a wavelength 1 nanometer. Calculate their momenta, then the energy of the photon and kinetic energy of electron. Okay, so here the wavelength is given there. What is the value? It is 1 nanometer. So both electron and photon have the wavelength 1 nanometer. First we have to find the momenta. So momentum of the photon can be calculated as, momentum is expressed P. Okay, so momentum of the photon is given as h by lambda. So h you know, 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 divided by, what is value of lambda? Yes, 1 nanometer, that is 1 into 10 power minus 9. So you will get the value for momentum of the photon. Now momentum of the electron is given as h by lambda e, which is 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 divided by, again 1 into 10 power minus 9. Okay, same only. So you will get the momentum as same for both photon as well as electron. Clear? Now the second part of the question is to find the energy of the photon. Energy of the photon is given by E equal to h nu. Here nu is not given directly, so you can take the expression hc by lambda, that is 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 into 3 into 10 raised to 8 divided by, what is lambda? As it is 1 into 10 power minus 9. Okay, in this way you can find the energy in joules. Now the third one is kinetic energy of the electron. We have just seen the equation for kinetic energy, then de Broglie wavelength, etc. of electron. So you know the expression for kinetic energy, which is given by p squared by 2m. How you got this expression? Because you have studied p is equal to root 2me, right? So what is p square? It is 2me, and e is equal to p squared by 2m. So kinetic energy equal to p squared by 2m, which is 6.63 into 10 power minus 34 whole square divided by, what is mass of the electron? It is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31. So 2 into 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kilogram. So you will get the answer for kinetic energy in joules. Okay, so this is all about this question. Again, direct question only. Substitute using the equations and find the values. Complete the numerical after calculation. Clear?